Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on the Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. This is your host Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I am going to talk about breaking news, MLB baseball, NFL football, NBA basketball, and NHL hockey. So before I start the show, how about those Colorado Rockies? The National League wildcard game was one of the best games ever. It was between the Colorado Rockies and the Chicago Cubs up at Wrigley Field. Kyle Freeland started for the Colorado Rockies. John Lester started for the Chicago Cubs. Both Kyle Freeland and John Lester pitched over 6 innings of solid baseball. They struck out a lot of batters. They hardly let any hits or runs come in. It was just a great game overall. The way the Rockies scored was back in the first inning. A sac fly by Nolan Arenado. Charlie Blackmon was on base and he came in and scored. It was 1-0 all the way until the 8th inning when Adam Ottavino came in for the Rockies. And Javier Baez hit it out to the outfield and a run scored, and it was 1-1 in the 8th inning. This game went all the way to the 13th inning. Once the starters came out, the relievers for both the Rockies and the Cubs pitched great baseball. This game was all about the pitching. It was solid pitching throughout the whole game. It could not have gotten any better than this. The batters were not able to hit the ball out of the stadium to hit a home run or to do a hit out to the outfield or into the stands. So it was a challenging game for both the Rockies and the Cubs. They both really wanted to win this game bad. The end of the season was great. The Rockies and the Dodgers, the Brewers and the Cubs had to play game 163. It was tiebreaker games to determine who won the National League Central, the National League West, and the 2 wildcard spots. It could not have gotten any better than that. Unfortunately, the Colorado Rockies lost to the Los Angeles Dodgers at Dodger Stadium 5-2. So they could not win the National League West. It would have been nice. It would have been their first time in franchise history that they ever won the National League West. But they got another opportunity because the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Chicago Cubs 3-1 at Wrigley Field. So the Brewers won the National League Central. So this year, in the National League wildcard game, it was between the Rockies and the Cubs at Wrigley Field. It was one of the best games. It was a great game to start off the 2018 postseason, the race to the World Series. The Colorado Rockies were able to pull out this game and win it 2-1 in the 13th inning. Your hero of the game was Tony Walters for the Colorado Rockies. He was able to hit the ball out to the outfield, which brought in a run to score, which made it 2-1. Scott Oberg came into the game. He closed the game. He was solid. The starting pitchers, the relievers for both the Rockies and the Cubs were very solid. That was the only runs. Now looking back at the game, I just wish that the Rockies were able to score more runs so it didn't have to go to the 13th inning. But it was very exciting. It was mixed emotions. It looked like they're going to win. They're not going to win. They're going to win. They're not going to win. But they finally won the game. The race to Rocktober is on right now. we play the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Division Series. It starts on Thursday. Game 1 and 2 is up in Milwaukee. Then this weekend, the Rockies come back to Coors Field for Game 3 on October 7th, which is actually my birthday. So I'm just looking forward to this weekend. I get to celebrate my birthday. I get to see the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field this Sunday, October 7th, on my birthday. It cannot get any better than that. So depending on how games 1 and 2 go, there could be 1 or 2 home games here at Coors Field. This is only the beginning. Anything can happen. The Colorado Rockies can make it all the way to the World Series. If not, for it being their 25th anniversary, it was a great season overall. There were many accomplishments, both in pitching and hitting. Their starting lineup looked great throughout the season. Their starting rotation looked great throughout the season. Their bullpen got much better. There's definitely a lot of awards and accomplishments to be proud of. The Rockies definitely accomplished a lot this season, so it's not over yet. Rocktober baseball is just starting, and it's not going to end anytime soon, so go Rockies. It's the 2018 postseason. You know what time it is? It's playoff baseball. It's only the beginning, and it's not over yet. So I just want to say, go Rockies. It is time to believe right now, because they're not going to lose anytime soon. So go Rockies, go Rockies. And get those rally towels out and start waving them, because they're going to keep winning and they're going to go all the way. Just watch. And if you have not, go out to the stores and buy your postseason gear, because it's Rocktober baseball and it is time to defend Rocktober. So if you get the opportunity, go out to Coors Field this weekend, watch your Colorado Rockies play, or watch them on TV. There's a lot to be proud of this season, so go Rockies! So before I start the show, I hope you all had a great week. To start off, there is a lot of breaking news, so let's begin. How about those Colorado Rockies, everybody? I can't believe that they're in this year's postseason. In the National League wildcard game on Tuesday, in the 13th inning, the Colorado Rockies beat the Chicago Cubs 2-1 at Wrigley Field. There was no way I was going to go to bed early. I wanted to stay up all night and watch this game. It was definitely a battle, and it came down to the end, and it was definitely worth staying up and watching. The National League wildcard game was such a great game, and it was a battle to the end. Both teams wanted to win this game so bad, because it's an elimination game where the winner goes against the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Division Series and the loser goes home. The game started out with Kyle Freeland pitching for the Rockies and John Lester pitching for the Cubs. From the starters to the relievers, the pitching was solid the whole game for both teams. The Rockies scored 1 run in the first, the Cubs scored 1 run in the 8th, and the Rockies scored the winning run in the 13th inning. Believe it or not, Tony Walters is your hero for this game. The National League Division Series starts this weekend in Milwaukee, and it actually starts today with the Rockies taking on the Brewers at Miller Park. So go Rockies. And this Sunday and possibly Monday, the Rockies will host their home games here at Coors Field. In the American League wildcard game, the New York Yankees beat the Oakland Athletics 7-2 at Yankee Stadium. The game started off with Luis Severino pitching a great game and Aaron Judge hitting a 2-run home run in the first inning. For the rest of the game, the Yankees starting lineup scored runs against the Athletics relievers. The Athletics tried to come back in the 8th inning after Chris Davis hit a 2-run home run, but it wasn't enough for the Athletics to win. The New York Yankees will go against rivals the Boston Red Sox in the American League Division Series. It's a big rivalry. I can't wait for this series to come up. The last time they played each other in the playoffs was back in the 2004 American League Championship Series, so hopefully we got a great matchup this time. That was definitely a great matchup the last time. Anything can happen in the postseason. And go Rockies! The Denver Broncos lost a close game to the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football, 27-23. Patrick Mahomes had a great game, and that's the reason why the Chiefs beat the Broncos. The Broncos did play good football for most of the game, but running backs Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman both had a great performance. New England Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman will make his 2018 season debut against the Colts after tearing his ACL, which kept him out the entire 2017 season, and he is returning from a 4-game PED suspension. Multiple reports say that Pittsburgh Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell plans to end his holdout and rejoin the Steelers during their Week 7 bye. Le'Veon Bell plans to play football with the Steelers for the rest of the season, but the Steelers are still listening to trade offers if any team wants to trade for Le'Veon Bell. In the first 4 games of the season, the Steelers are 1-2-1 without Le'Veon Bell, and he was set to make over $14 million this season, which would have made him the highest paid running back in the NFL. Since Le'Veon Bell was unable to agree to a long-term deal with the Steelers before the extension deadline, that's why Le'Veon Bell has been holding out since the offseason. Moving on now to Major League Baseball. In the American League, the Boston Red Sox have the best record in all of baseball, and they won the American League East. The Cleveland Indians won the American League Central. The Houston Astros won the American League West. The New York Yankees clinched the first wildcard spot, and the Oakland Athletics clinched the second wildcard spot. In the National League, the Atlanta Braves won the National League East. The Milwaukee Brewers won the National League Central. The Los Angeles Dodgers won the National League West. The Chicago Cubs clinched the first wildcard spot, and the Colorado Rockies clinched the second wildcard spot. Since the Brewers, Cubs, Rockies, and Dodgers were all playing great baseball in the last week of regular season baseball, there were 2 tiebreaker games on Monday between the Brewers and the Cubs, and the Rockies and the Dodgers to determine who won the National League Central, West, and the 2 wildcard spots. The Cubs hosted the Brewers, and the Dodgers hosted the Rockies since they won the season series this season. The Brewers beat the Cubs 3-1, and unfortunately the Dodgers beat the Rockies 5-2. In the 2018 postseason, in the American League, the Oakland Athletics went against the New York Yankees in the wild card game. The Cleveland Indians go against the Houston Astros in the American League Division Series, and the Boston Red Sox go against the New York Yankees in the American League Division Series. In the National League, the 2 tiebreaker games started out the playoffs. It was actually game 163. It was still the regular season, but the Milwaukee Brewers went against the Chicago Cubs. The Colorado Rockies went against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And because of the turnout, the Colorado Rockies went against the Chicago Cubs in the wild card game on Tuesday. The Atlanta Braves go against the Los Angeles Dodgers in the National League Division Series. And the Milwaukee Brewers go against the Colorado Rockies in the National League Division Series. So I'm definitely looking forward to this year's 2018 postseason. A lot of great matchups. The games that started off with the tiebreaker games. The wild card games were great, especially the National League wild card game. You definitely missed out if you did not watch that game, even if you're not a Rockies fan. It was such a great game. The American League wild card game was great as well. There's definitely a lot of great matchups in the division series in both the American League and the National League. So tune into all these games. Some of these series start today, which includes the Atlanta Braves against the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Colorado Rockies. Those start today, so tune in to the 2018 postseason. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch. And almost any of these teams can make it all the way to the World Series and potentially win the World Series. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. The only thing that I hope for is our Colorado Rockies can make it all the way to the World Series and be the 2018 World Series champions. That'd be the best thing ever. But it's just a wait and see. Moving on now to NFL football. I'm going to give you the final scores from the 4th week of regular season football. So to start off, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Los Angeles Rams. The final score, the Rams win 38-31. The New York Jets versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The final score, the Jaguars win 31-12. The Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots. The final score, the Patriots win 38-7. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Tennessee Titans. The final score, the Titans win 26-23. The Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts. The final score, the Texans win 37-34. The Buffalo Bills versus the Green Bay Packers. The final score, the Packers win 22-0. The Detroit Lions versus the Dallas Cowboys. The final score, the Cowboys win 26-24. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Chicago Bears. The final score, the Bears win 48-10. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Atlanta Falcons. The final score, the Bengals win 37-36. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals. The final score, the Seahawks win 20-17. The Cleveland Browns versus the Oakland Raiders. The final score, the Raiders win 45-42. The New Orleans Saints versus the New York Giants. The final score, the Saints win 33-18. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Los Angeles Chargers. The final score, the Chargers win 29-27. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The final score, the Ravens win 26-14. And the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos. The final score, the Chiefs win 27-23. So that's all your final scores from every game from the 4th week of regular season football. Looking back at the 4th week, there were definitely a lot of close games, a lot of big matchups. Patrick Mahomes looked great for the Kansas City Chiefs. He had a great game. He's looking great throughout these first 4 weeks of regular season football, so keep an eye on him. Baker Mayfield made his first start for the Cleveland Browns. They almost beat the Oakland Raiders. They just fell short, but he's looking great as well. This week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to switch their starting quarterbacks from Ryan Fitzpatrick to Jameis Winston. Also, keep an eye on Carson Wentz on the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Los Angeles Rams are 4-0 right now. They're looking like they're going to be the best team in the NFL. They definitely have a great offense and a great defense. Overall, they have an entire team. So they're definitely have a great chance of making it all the way to the Super Bowl. So moving on to the 5th week of regular season football. To start off, the Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on their bye week this week. Tonight we got the Indianapolis Colts versus the New England Patriots on Thursday Night Football. On Sunday, we got the Tennessee Titans versus the Buffalo Bills, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Denver Broncos versus the New York Jets, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the Green Bay Packers versus the Detroit Lions, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns, the New York Giants versus the Carolina Panthers, the Miami Dolphins versus the Cincinnati Bengals, the Oakland Raiders versus the Los Angeles Chargers, the Arizona Cardinals versus the San Francisco 49ers, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles, the Los Angeles Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. On Sunday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Houston Texans, and on Monday Night Football, the Washington Redskins versus the New Orleans Saints. So, looking ahead to next week, what to watch for in football: the return of Julian Edelman to the New England Patriots. Le'Veon Bell will be returning back to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a couple weeks, so we'll have to wait and see how he performs. The Denver Broncos play the New York Jets. Can Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs win another game? He's looking great so far. Can Baker Mayfield win his first game as the starter for the Cleveland Browns? Can the Miami Dolphins bounce back after losing to the New England Patriots? How's the quarterback going to play for the San Francisco 49ers after Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL and it's a season-ending injury? Can the Minnesota Vikings beat the Philadelphia Eagles? How's Carson Wentz going to play? Are the Los Angeles Rams going to go 5-0? And can the Dallas Cowboys bounce back and play like they have the last few years? So moving on now to NBA basketball. NBA preseason is underway. The Denver Nuggets look like they're going to have a better season and make it into the playoffs this year, so I'm definitely looking forward to some Nuggets basketball. In LeBron James' preseason debut with the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James has looked great so far, so it's looking like LeBron James will have a great season with the Lakers. I can't wait and see how he plays with the Lakers. Moving on now to NHL hockey. Regular season hockey starts this week. The Colorado Avalanche's first regular season game is against the Minnesota Wild tonight at the Pepsi Center. So if you get the opportunity, go out to the Pepsi Center tonight and root on the Colorado Avalanche in their home opener. The Colorado Avalanche want to have a better season and make it back into the playoffs for a second year in a row. The Vegas Golden Knights are favored to win this year's Stanley Cup. The Golden Knights were definitely a big surprise to the NHL by playing that good of hockey, with being an expansion team and being in the NHL for the first season. They made it all the way to the Stanley Cup, but they lost to the Washington Capitals. But I bet you, because they have the same team and they're looking like they're going to play some great hockey this year like they did last year, they're going to make it back to the Stanley Cup, and I really hope that they win the Stanley Cup this year. Moving on now to end the show, what to watch for this week. The Rockies go against the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Division Series. The Major League Baseball postseason started this week with the American and National League wildcard games. Then the American and National League Division Series games start today and towards the end of this week, and they go into the weekend and into next week. CU's next game is this Saturday against Arizona State up in Boulder, the 5th week of regular season football. The Broncos' next game is at the New York Jets this Sunday. The Denver Nuggets preseason game is tomorrow at the Pepsi Center against the Perth Wildcats. So I hope you all have a great weekend. I am going to have a great weekend since it's my birthday. The Broncos go against the Jets on Sunday, and the Rockies are in the postseason, and they play at Coors Field this Sunday against the Brewers on my birthday. I couldn't ask for a better birthday weekend. To be able to see the Broncos play the Jets, the Rockies play the Brewers, all this Sunday on my birthday. It can't get any better than that. So I'm just looking forward to that. And before I end the show, the one and only thing that we can do starting today to the end of October is to believe. The Colorado Rockies are in postseason baseball. Anything can happen. It's time for some Rocktober baseball right now. All I can say is keep your fingers crossed, because if they play great baseball, they can make it all the way to the World Series just like they did back in 2007. Anything can happen. So all I can say is root on your Colorado Rockies, believe, and go Rockies! Root on them their entire way to the World Series this postseason. They're definitely going to surprise a lot of teams, and they're going to surprise all of baseball. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports through Met Radio here on mymetmedia.com. Until next time, this is Gerardo.